The first time it happened, I laughed. I laughed because I didn't understand it yet. I laughed because everyone else did. I laughed because I was sitting at my husband's family dinner table, holding a plate of fried chicken, trying so hard to belong. I should have cried instead. "Is it hot in here?" Linda said, waving her hand near her nose. She was my husband's older sister. Perfect hair, perfect smile, perfect timing. "I think something smells off," she added, her eyes sliding toward me. The table went quiet for half a second. Then Mark's mother, Susan, chuckled softly. "Oh, Linda," she said, "you're so sensitive." Everyone laughed again. Even my husband, David, smiled a little. Not a big smile, just enough to hurt. I looked down at my plate and pretended I didn't hear anything. "My name is Emily. I married David Carter 2 years ago. I loved him. I still did then. I thought marrying him meant I was joining a family. I didn't know I was walking into a courtroom where I was already guilty. That night when we got home, I went straight to the bathroom. I locked the door. I smelled my clothes, my skin, my hair. I smelled like soap. I smelled like food. I smelled like a normal human being. So why did they look at me like that? I told myself it was nothing, just a joke. Family's joke, right? I was wrong. The next time it was worse. We were at Susan's house again. Sunday lunch, the whole family there, Mark's brother Jake, his wife Hannah, even the cousins. I wore a new dress. Blue, simple. I showered twice that morning, used deodorant, used perfume, light perfume. Too much would be a mistake, I knew that. As soon as I walked in, Hannah leaned toward Jake and whispered something. She covered her mouth, but not enough. Jake laughed. Linda didn't even try to hide it. "Emily," she said loudly, "what perfume is that?" I froze. "Oh, it's just—" "Because it's strong," she said, "like you're trying to cover something." My ears burned. My chest felt tight. Susan sighed like I was a problem she had been tired of for years. Some people don't realize hygiene is important. She said it while cutting meat. Calm, sharp, clean. I looked at David. He didn't look back. I excused myself and went to the bathroom again. I sat on the edge of the tub and stared at my face in the mirror. I wanted to disappear. That night, I finally said something. "David," I whispered in bed, "your family thinks I smell." He turned on his side. "You're imagining it." "I'm not," I said, my voice shook. "They keep saying things." "They're just joking," he said. "You're too sensitive." Too sensitive. That became my new name. From that day on, it was constant. Little comments, big laughs, side looks. "Open a window." "Is the AC broken?" "Emily, do you want to try a different soap?" Once, Linda handed me a deodorant stick in front of everyone. "I'm just trying to help," she said sweetly. I went numb. I stopped eating at family dinners. I stopped talking. I stopped laughing. I started sitting near windows, near doors, near exits. I washed my clothes separately, twice. I scrubbed my skin until it burned. I tried home remedies, store products, expensive products. Nothing changed. Because it was never about smell. It was about power. One night, after another dinner, I broke. I stood in the shower with the water running so hot it hurt. I slid down the wall and cried into my knees. "What's wrong with me?" I whispered. That's when something inside me snapped. Not loudly. Quietly. The next morning, I called my doctor. Then a therapist. Then I did something else. I stopped explaining myself. At the next family gathering, I didn't sit near the window. I sat at the center of the table. Linda raised an eyebrow. Bold choice. I smiled. I know. Susan sniffed the air dramatically. I leaned forward. "Susan, if you're concerned about a medical issue, I've already spoken to professionals. But thank you for your interest in my body." The table froze. David dropped his fork. Jake coughed to hide a laugh. Susan's face tightened. "I didn't mean." "I know exactly what you mean," I said calmly. That was new, calm. Linda tried to save it. We're just family, we joke. I nodded. Then let's joke about something else. For the first time, they didn't laugh. That night, David was angry. You embarrassed my mom, he said. I looked at him, really looked. You let them humiliate me for months, I said. But I embarrass her once and it's a problem. He had no answer. Something shifted between us. After that, the comments became quieter, but they didn't stop. They changed. Now it was whispers, exclusions, invitations that came late or not at all. And then, one afternoon, I overheard something I was never meant to hear. I was at Susan's house early to help set up for Thanksgiving. I walked toward the kitchen and heard Linda's voice from the living room. She's not normal, Linda said. I swear something is wrong with her. Hannah laughed. Maybe that's why David married her. Low standards. Susan sighed. I tried to warn him. I stood still, my heart pounding so loud I thought they'd hear it. Linda continued. If she gets pregnant, can you imagine? That's when I walked in. They stopped talking. I smiled. Imagine what? I asked. Silence. Susan forced a smile. Emily, we didn't hear you. I know, I said. That's the point. That night, I made a decision. I was done being quiet. I was done trying to please people who enjoyed hurting me. I didn't know exactly how yet. But I knew this. They were about to lose control. I didn't sleep that night. I lay beside David, staring at the ceiling, replaying Linda's words again and again. She's not normal. Low standards. Imagine if she gets pregnant. Each sentence hit harder in the dark. David slept peacefully. That part hurt the most. By morning, my eyes were dry, but my heart felt heavy and clear at the same time. I wasn't confused anymore. I wasn't guessing. I finally understood something important. This wasn't teasing. It was bullying. And it was coming from the family I married into. At breakfast, David noticed my silence. You okay? He asked, scrolling through his phone. I heard your family talking about me yesterday, I said. He froze. What do you mean? I heard everything, I said calmly. What they think of me, what they say when I'm not around. He sighed like I had told him the weather was bad. Emily, why do you always take things so seriously? That was it. That sentence broke something inside me. I'm not taking anything, I said. They're giving it over and over, and you let them. He finally looked up. What do you want me to do? Fight my family? I want you to choose me, I said. He didn't answer. That silence told me everything. Over the next few weeks, I changed. Not on the outside, on the inside. I stopped going to family dinners. When Susan called, I let it ring. When Linda texted passive-aggressive messages like haven't seen you lately with a smile emoji, I replied with nothing. They didn't like that. People who enjoy control hate silence. One afternoon, Susan showed up at our apartment unannounced. I opened the door, surprised. Oh, she said, looking me up and down. I thought I'd check on you. I'm fine, I said. She stepped inside without asking. David says you've been distant. David stood behind her, uncomfortable. Susan lowered her voice. Emily, we're just concerned. Sometimes body issues are connected to emotional problems. I stared at her. Are you saying I smell because I'm emotionally unstable? I asked. Her lips tightened. I didn't say that. You didn't have to, I replied. She looked at David. See, this is what I mean. Something in me clicked into place. I smiled. You know what's interesting, I said. I've been to doctors, specialists, therapists. Everything is normal. Susan blinked. So if nothing is wrong with my body, I continued, then the problem must be the way you treat me. David stepped in. Mom, maybe. She raised a hand. This conversation is over. No, I said softly. It's just beginning. She left shortly after, angry and embarrassed. That night, David accused me of being disrespectful. "You're turning everyone against me," he said. I laughed. It surprised both of us. "I'm not turning anyone against you," I said. "I'm just not protecting them anymore." The next event was Linda's birthday party. David begged me to go. "Just this once," he said, "for me." I agreed. Not because I wanted peace. Because I wanted truth. At the party, Linda hugged everyone except me. When she finally reached me, she held her breath dramatically. I smiled and hugged her longer. Her eyes widened. I whispered, "Relax, I don't bite." People laughed nearby, not at me. At her. For the first time, the room felt different. Later, Hannah approached me with a fake smile. "No offense," she said, "but have you ever considered seeing a specialist?" I raised my voice just enough. "Which one? The doctor who confirmed I don't smell, or the therapist who says constant humiliation causes trauma?" The music didn't stop, but conversations around us did. Hannah's face went red. I was just trying to help. "So was I said. That night, Linda didn't cut the cake. Susan didn't make eye contact. David drove home in silence. When we got home, he exploded. "You embarrassed my whole family." "No," I said quietly. "I exposed them." He stared at me like he didn't recognize me. Maybe he didn't. Over the next month, something strange happened. The joke stopped, but the distance grew. I wasn't invited to things. Family group chats went quiet when I spoke. David started staying late at work, coming home distracted. One evening, while folding laundry, his phone buzzed. A message popped up on the screen. From Linda. "She's changing you. You need to open your eyes." My hands shook. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Instead, I did something smarter. I started writing everything down. Dates, words, witnesses. I recorded how I felt, what was said, who laughed, who stayed silent. I found power in the truth. Then one night, while David was in the shower, his phone buzzed again. This time, I picked it up. "Susan, we need to talk about Emily. This situation is getting out of hand." I sat on the bed, my heart racing. They weren't done. And neither was I. I didn't reply to Susan's message. I placed David's phone back exactly where it was and sat there, listening to the shower run. The sound felt loud, heavy, like a warning. They weren't worried about me. They were worried about losing control. The next morning, David acted normal. Too normal. He kissed my cheek, drank his coffee, talked about traffic. I watched him carefully, like someone watches a stranger who knows your secrets. "You've been quiet lately," he said. "I'm learning," I replied. He frowned. "Learning what?" "When to speak," I said, "and when not to." He didn't like that answer. That weekend, Susan invited us to dinner again. I almost laughed. David looked hopeful. Maybe this is a peace offering. I smiled politely. Or a trap. He ignored that. At Susan's house, everything felt staged. The table was set perfectly. The food smelled amazing. Everyone smiled too much. Linda hugged me. A real hug. That scared me more than the insults ever did. "We're so glad you came," Susan said. "We've missed you." I sat down slowly. Dinner started politely. Weather, work, television shows. Then Susan cleared her throat. "Emily," she said softly, "we wanted to talk openly tonight, as a family." My heart beat faster. "I think sometimes misunderstandings happen," she continued, "and feelings get hurt." Linda nodded. "Yes, we never meant to make you uncomfortable." I looked at their faces, calm, careful. "So," Susan said, "we thought maybe you could explain what's been going on with you." There it was. I put my fork down. "What exactly do you want me to explain?" I asked. "Well," Hannah said, "sometimes people don't realize certain changes in their body." Linda jumped in. "Hormones, stress, diet." Susan sighed. We just want to help you. I laughed. Not loudly. Just enough. You want to help me, I said, by discussing my body at a dinner table. David shifted in his seat. Emily. No, I said. Let me finish. Everyone went quiet. I've been humiliated here. Repeatedly, I said. In front of family, guests, strangers, I was laughed at, whispered about, treated like something dirty. Susan opened her mouth. And now, I continued, because I stopped accepting it, you want to reframe it as concern. Linda crossed her arms. You're twisting things. I leaned forward. Am I? I looked directly at Susan. Did you, or did you not say some people don't understand hygiene? She didn't answer. I looked at Linda. Did you, or did you not give me deodorant in front of everyone? Linda's cheeks turned red. I looked at Hannah. Did you, or did you not suggest I was emotionally unstable? David stood up. This is getting out of hand. I stood too. It's been out of hand, I said. You just didn't care because it wasn't happening to you. The room felt tight, heavy, like it couldn't breathe. Susan spoke slowly. Emily, if you're unhappy, maybe this marriage is adding pressure. That sentence hit me hard. Not because it was cruel. Because it was honest. I turned to David. He didn't look at me. In that moment, something inside me went cold. After dinner, we drove home in silence again. Halfway there, David said, You didn't have to attack them. I defended myself, I said. You embarrassed us. I looked at him. There is no us if you keep choosing them. He slammed the steering wheel. They're my family. So am I whispered. He didn't respond. That night, he slept on the couch. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, realizing something painful and freeing at the same time. I had been fighting the wrong people. The real battle was much closer. The next week, I received an email. From Susan. She wanted to mediate. With a counselor. A family counselor. I almost deleted it. Then I smiled. I replied, sure. The session was set for Friday afternoon. The counselor's office was warm and quiet. Soft chairs, calm colors, safe words. Susan arrived early. Linda sat beside her. Hannah came too. David sat next to me, but it felt like miles apart. The counselor smiled. Let's talk about what brought us here. Susan spoke first. We're worried about Emily, she said. She's been distant, defensive. We're concerned about her mental and physical health. I stared straight ahead. The counselor turned to me. Emily, how does that make you feel? I took a breath. They've bullied me, I said. For months, about my body in public, in private. Linda scoffed. That's a strong word. It's the correct word, I said. The counselor nodded. Can you give examples? I opened my notebook. The room went still. I read dates, words, situations. No emotion, just facts. Susan's face changed. Linda stopped tapping her foot. Hannah looked down. When I finished, the counselor said gently, This sounds like repeated humiliation. David swallowed hard. Susan spoke quickly. We didn't realize it affected her this deeply. The counselor looked at her. Impact matters more than intention. That sentence felt like justice. But then Susan said something that made my stomach drop. Well, she said, if Emily feels this way, maybe David should reconsider things before they get worse. I turned to David. Slowly. He didn't defend me. He didn't speak. He just sat there. And in that quiet moment, I understood something terrifying. They weren't trying to fix the family. They were trying to remove me. And the worst part, they thought they were winning. When I left that counseling session, I didn't cry. Not in the car, not in the elevator, not even when I closed our apartment door behind me and realized David hadn't followed. I didn't cry because something inside me had already gone numb. For months, I'd begged for peace. I'd fought to be understood. But sitting in that office, hearing Susan suggest that I was the problem and watching David say nothing, that was the moment my love finally died quietly inside me. And when love dies, something else takes its place, clarity. The kind that hurts but heals. The next morning, I started my plan. Not a cruel plan. Not a violent one. But one built on truth and silence. I began by documenting everything properly. Not in my little notebook this time, but legally. I backed up every message, every voicemail, every text Susan and Linda ever sent. The rude jokes, the little digs, the helpful hygiene tips. I stored it all. Then I opened my own bank account. Then I changed my passwords. Then I met with a lawyer. Her name was Megan. She was kind, young, but sharp as a blade. After I explained everything, she leaned back and said, "Emily, you've been emotionally abused. By your husband's family and by your husband's silence." The words hit like thunder, but they were true. "Do you want to stay?" she asked. I didn't answer right away. Part of me still loved David. The part that remembered his laugh, his promises, the nights we dreamed about our future. But another part, the stronger one, remembered how he let them tear me down piece by piece. "I want my peace," I said finally. "Then let's take it back," she said. The next week, I played my role like nothing had changed. I smiled at David. I made dinner. I laughed when he tried to act like everything was fine. Inside, I was already gone. Susan invited us to another family dinner that weekend. "Everyone's going to be there," David said, almost begging. "Please come. It'll show them you're willing to move on." I looked at him for a long time. "Sure," I said softly. "I'll come." He smiled, relieved. He didn't notice the calm in my eyes. That Saturday, I wore white. Simple. Clean. Not because I wanted to impress anyone, but because I wanted to remind myself I was pure, no matter how dirty their words had been. The moment I walked into Susan's house, I could feel it. The fake warmth. The watching eyes. The tension under every smile. "Emily," Linda said loudly, "you look refreshed." I smiled. Soap and water still do miracles, right? The room went awkwardly quiet. I didn't care. Dinner began. The conversation was smooth and slow, until Susan brought up the counseling session. "I think it helped us see where the misunderstandings were," she said. "Did it?" I asked quietly. "Well," she continued, "sometimes we all just need to admit when we've made things bigger than they are." I looked around the table. "You mean bullying?" Her fork froze. "Emily," David began, but I cut him off. "No, David, let's talk about it. You all spent months humiliating me, pretending to be kind while making jokes about my smell, my body, my emotions. You called it love. You called it family." "Emily, that's enough," Susan said sharply. I smiled. "Actually, no, it's just beginning." I reached into my bag and placed my phone on the table. I hit play. The room filled with sound, recordings of their own voices. Linda laughing about my problem. Susan saying, "She probably doesn't know how to take care of herself." Hannah whispering, "I can't sit near her." Their faces went pale. When the recording ended, the silence was deafening. I looked at Susan. "You said family should talk openly. I'm just following your advice." Linda stammered, "You recorded us." "I protected myself," I said. "There's a difference." Susan stood up. "You can't just—" "I already did," I interrupted. "And copies are safe. If any of you try to spin this or humiliate me again, they'll find their way to every person you care about." She froze. David looked horrified. "Emily, you didn't have to." "Yes," I said quietly. "I did." I pushed my chair back. "I came here tonight for closure, not conversation. You don't have to worry about seeing me again." Susan's voice broke slightly. "You're leaving him." I looked at David. His eyes were glassy, lost. "I'm leaving the version of me that kept forgiving all of you," I said. Then I walked out. The cold night air felt cleaner than anything I'd breathed in months. As I walked to my car, My hands were shaking, not from fear but from power. For the first time, the shame didn't belong to me. It belonged to them. When I got home, I packed my things. Slowly, carefully, every folded shirt felt like a step toward freedom. I left the apartment key on the kitchen counter, beside a note. It said only 3 words. I took it back. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it. But what I didn't know then, what I couldn't have guessed, was that my story with David's family wasn't over yet. Because a week later, something unexpected happened. Something that would test just how strong I'd really become. And it started with a knock on my door. The knock came at 6:12 a.m. Soft, careful, like the person on the other side was afraid I might disappear if they knocked too hard. I stood still in my small apartment, heart racing. I had only been there 3 days. New place, new air, new life. I opened the door. It was David. He looked smaller somehow, tired. His eyes were red like he hadn't slept. "Emily," he said, "please." I didn't step aside. I didn't invite him in. "What do you want?" I asked. He swallowed. "My family is furious. They say you threatened them." I nodded. "I told the truth. That's not a threat." "They're saying you manipulated everything," he continued. "They want you to apologize." That's when I smiled. Not the old smile. The new one. "The woman you bullied is gone," I said calmly. "She doesn't apologize anymore." David's voice cracked. "They're blaming me now." I looked at him closely. For the first time, I saw it clearly. The same people who mocked me were now turning on him. The same cruelty, the same cold smiles, just a new target. "I warned you," I said softly. "Silence doesn't protect anyone, it just delays the pain." He reached for my hand. I stepped back. "I loved you," I said, "but you loved peace more than truth." Tears ran down his face. "Can we fix this?" I shook my head. I already did. He left without another word. That afternoon, I did something I'd been scared to do for years. I told my story. Not online, not for revenge. To people who mattered. My friends, my coworkers, even my parents. And something strange happened. No one laughed. No one doubted me. No one asked if I was too sensitive. They believed me. Linda stopped posting smiling family photos. Susan stopped calling. Hannah blocked me. Their silence was loud. And peaceful. Weeks later, I caught my reflection in a store window. I looked lighter. Not thinner. Not prettier. Stronger. I realized something important then. They never bullied me because of body odor. They bullied me because I was kind, quiet, easy to blame. And the moment I stood up, the smell disappeared. Because it was never real. What was real was this. I took my power back. I took my voice back. I took my life back. And this time, no one could take it from me again. The truth is, healing didn't happen all at once. Some mornings, I still woke up expecting whispers. Some days, I checked myself too many times before leaving the house. Trauma doesn't disappear just because you stand up for yourself. But something had changed forever. I no longer hated my body. I no longer apologized for existing. And I no longer begged for love from people who enjoyed my pain. Months later, I heard through mutual friends that David had moved back in with his mother, that Linda and Susan were fighting nonstop, that the perfect family now felt tense and divided. I didn't feel happy about it. I felt free. One evening, as I sat alone in my new apartment, I realized something quietly powerful. My revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't cruel. It wasn't illegal. It was survival. It was walking away with my dignity intact. It was choosing myself when no one else would. It was refusing to carry shame that was never mine. They tried to break me with words. Instead, they taught me my worth. And if there's one thing I know now, it's this. When people bully you to feel powerful, the most painful revenge is becoming someone they can no longer control. Because the moment you stop shrinking, they lose everything.